Okay, so it seems like recently Ironmouse has been under quite a bit of pressure from a lot of haters and a lot of people just unhappy with her, which again, I think is pretty insane. And we've been covering a lot about the whole Spotify situation that's been going on, where she's been, getting relentlessly, her songs taken down and everything like that, which I do have a very, very interesting video coming out soon, probably tomorrow or maybe the day after, about this, because again, I do think it is pretty insane what these people are doing. But this time it's actually talking about some of the collaborations which we've also talked about on this channel, and some of the hate that she's been getting from that. Now, if you don't know, recently she did a collaboration sponsorship with CDawg, doing the colorful stage My Sakai update thing, whatever. And essentially, they played a colorful stage on stream for a couple of hours, and it was a bunch of fun. I watched Connor's VOD on it, and it seems like he actually genuinely likes the game as well, which is obviously a big factor. He was playing like even before he was into sponsor time, because sometimes you could do that if you want to, right? You can continue playing if you like the game, and obviously that's what they did. And it seems that Ironmouse was on there too, but there was a lot of hatred obviously through another collaboration which happened. If you guys don't remember, I have a full video on it if you guys want to go look at that. But essentially, Blue Archive also was going to sponsor both of them, as well as Giguk and Zentreya, and they were going to do a Blue Archive sponsor until fans complained, and they ended up dropping all of the sponsors altogether. Now, a lot of that was due to CDawg and some of the things that he said about lolly characters and things, especially on his podcast Trash Taste, which again, obviously, I think that's fair enough, right, from Blue Archive, because again, a lot of their characters are lolly based kind of models, or lolly style models, so of course it doesn't really make sense to have someone who's so actively against them doing a sponsored stream for them, right? I think it is a little bit odd and just doesn't really make sense, right? And I can understand why CDawg did take it, because again, a bag is a bag, and there is a lot of other characters in Blue Archive as well, which you could probably just focus on a little bit more. But again, obviously it just didn't make sense, and of course the Blue Archive fans were not very happy, so they ended up kicking them off. But the Hatsune Miku one came after this, right? And they ended up doing the exact same thing to them. It was about like a week later or so, I'm pretty sure. I mean, this one was December 18th. Okay, a couple of weeks later. This was January 15th. So again, people were saying like, please stop, and a lot of people saying how are people reacting as if they haven't collabed with her already, which again is 100% true, because they've done collaborations with Colorful Stage before. They've done sponsored streams. It's not the first time. It's been a couple of times, I'm pretty sure, actually. So again, obviously a lot of people confused at why so many people are so angry, because a lot of people have been obviously saying like, hey, why are they doing this? And I think it is mainly due to the backlash that they got from the original Blue Archive one, that they're now doing it to them on Hatsune Miku Colorful Stage. But obviously they didn't listen, and they ended up doing the stream. It was a great stream, and obviously it worked out for them. But Ironmouse has actually released a response to this, essentially talking about the hate with her and CDawg, which I kind of wanted to look at and also talk about a little bit more. This is from Mousy Dog, who obviously kind of clipped this. So let's take a look, and then we'll talk about it.
Swear to God. I swear to God, bro. The sponsor. We have a sponsor with Hatsune Miku Colorful Stage.
Dad joke time. What do you give a pumpkin who is trying to quit smoking? A pumpkin patch.
Pumpkin patch? Oh yeah, that's true. The third time. It's so funny to see people, because they announced the sponsor, and of course there's people like, what the f is Ironmouse and Connor doing? Why? Why would you get them? Why them? What the f? She never plays. Like, buddy, the tourist is you. You are the tourist. You are the tourist, man. You're the tourist. You can literally go on my channel and see that I've played the game. And Connor's played the game. Oh my god. Yeah, they were calling us tourists. It's so funny. It's so funny. I'm like, bro, the only tourist here is you. Yeah, and Connor's played multiple times. He loves that game. Yeah, there were some people saying, I'm deleting my game. I can't take this. And it's like, okay, well, bye. I'll see you tomorrow, because I know you're not deleting. You're not deleting anything. I'll see you tomorrow, bro. See you tomorrow, same time, same channel, same game. Cause you're not deleting. Not deleting anything. Yeah, it just proves that people that don't like us, they don't like us and they don't watch us. That's why That's why I say, to me, it's like, listen, man, I do stuff for people that like us. I make music for people that like us. I stream for people that like me. And people that don't like me, they don't watch me. And they don't listen to my and they're not gonna know. So, but I don't do for them because that's not who I'm doing stuff for. Because they don't like me. Yeah, it's, oh my god, it's crazy. If you click on a lot of those accounts, if you click on their account and you click on their replies, it's literally nothing but hate comment after hate comment for the past like 2-3 years about us. And I'm like, oh my god, bro. You have literally spent 3 years of your life doing nothing but this? What the
So yeah, obviously she goes into talking about, you know, obviously these people have hated them for a long time. This isn't just the colorful stage fandom, whatever, going after. I'm sure there's a couple people obviously that maybe didn't like it, but I think that a lot of these people already have a preconceived kind of hatred towards Ironmouse and CDawg, and there's always been this kind of hatred, I guess, towards them, especially during, you know, like their collaborations in particular. You know, for example, people saying, is this guy attached to her and selling out? Which again is a very common thing that I see, right? Is people saying that one is leeching off another, right? Saying that CDawg is either leeching off of Ironmouse or Ironmouse is leeching off of CDawg, which I think is pretty crazy because obviously, you know, they're saying it for both sides, right? Which kind of tells you that they're not leeching, right? If someone is leeching off of someone else, but that person is also leeching off that person, that kind of tells you they're not leeching. It's a more of a coexisting kind of duo or relationship, right? Because again, it is like a normal thing to have a duo, and I don't think either of them are leeching off either of them, right? They're a pretty similar size, I would say, in terms of their content and in terms of the viewership. Maybe you could argue one is slightly bigger, but let's be real, neither of these two are small streamers. They are both huge streamers. Obviously, Ironmouse got 1.1 million. CDawg has, yeah, almost 1 million as well. I mean, come on, like, let's be real here. Neither of them are small. Neither of them are leeching off of each other. And also, you know, here's the case, right? You know, things like CDawg, he has done so much for like the IDF and things, the Immune Deficiency Foundation, which is obviously a charity that Ironmouse is very much a part of and tries to raise money for due to her own kind of, you know, situation and everything. So again, I would say it's leeching, especially whenever he's doing so much for her as well at the same time. And I think a lot of people, yeah, for some reason are trying to say like, are they attached? Like, why are they constantly doing it? And well, it's because people like to see that duo. There's a reason they were nominated for Best Duo at the Stream Awards, because they are a duo that people enjoy to watch. They are a duo that people have, you know, kind of warmed up to over the past couple of years. And it works for sponsors, right? Because they are both pretty brand safe, right? And, you know, I think it does end up being a pretty good thing for sponsors. And people want to see that happen, and people want to see them essentially clipped within their game, because there's a lot of clips, right? Whenever it comes to Connor and Ironmouse, right? There's so many clips that come out from all of their duo streams, right? Where even if it's not sponsored, and obviously if it's being clipped with a sponsored game within it, you know, that's pretty good for the sponsor. You know, they're going to want to see that. They're going to want to see lots of people doing it. Now, obviously, some people, as Ironmouse said, were calling them out for being tourists. But as I said, you know, they play the game quite a bit. You know, Connor enjoys the game. He's been sponsored multiple times to play it, and he enjoys the game. He plays it overtime. He plays it past the kind of sponsorship. I wouldn't say you're exactly a tourist for that. Now, obviously, some people call them a tourist over the whole lolly thing, which again, if you want to have that opinion, sure. But again, I feel like Connor does have a pretty good understanding of anime and different shows and stuff. Maybe he's not as kind of in tune as you, or maybe he hasn't watched as many anime and stuff as you, right? But I feel like I wouldn't say he's exactly a tourist, because I feel like he's seen much more than the average person, right? But again, obviously some people like to I guess say that, you know, oh, this guy's a tourist or whatever, because he's only watched 400, not 1000, which is like, okay, like what are we even saying here? But I do think it is pretty crazy, right? That some people just want to, you know, tie this hatred onto this duo, when, as I said, you know, they are just two friends that enjoy obviously playing a bunch of games and stuff together, and obviously, you know, they duo and do stuff together outside of sponsors all of the time. You know, and this is just what happens whenever it comes to sponsors too. They want to see that duo also feature within their game, so that they can get more attention to it from both audiences, and it works, right? It works for the companies, and it gets heavily promoted, including games like Colorful Stage, for example, right? Colorful Stage has actually had a really good time with the sponsors, because obviously if you think, if you guys watch the CDawg stream, he actually, invites people to play against him. Obviously you're put into like a lobby, I think, of some people, where essentially you all play the song, whoever gets the most points wins or whatever, and he was inviting people to come and join him, right? And obviously, sure, there's some people that already played the game that joined up and had all of their songs in, but I'm pretty sure it obviously did entice people to actually download the game and, try and join in with him. And maybe once they download that game, you've already crossed that kind of barrier. So maybe you'll try it out later on as well, and maybe you'll give it a go, right? So I think that is something very, very important there, because the sponsor was successful in that sense. If you get someone to download the game, that is a successful sponsor. I don't think a lot of these companies care about whether people on Twitter like the fact that, they're collabing, or the fact that they're working with this company, right? Because again, at the end of the day, as long as they get downloads, it doesn't matter. And obviously Ironmouse was saying that people were saying that they were going to leave and that they were going to uninstall the game. But let's be real, they can't really have that much of an attachment to the game if they are going to leave over some stupid collaboration, right? Sure, if you don't like them collaborating with a colorful stage, then just ignore it. You don't have to watch the stream. You don't have to interact with it at all. You can continue playing the game and just not bother, because again, you don't have to. You can just play the game. The same with so many other things, right? For example, so many games do collaborations with certain kind of shows and stuff, right? And I'm not going to go, I'm going to quit the game because I don't like this one collaboration with it, and say, for example, it's like skins, right? Just don't buy the skins. That's the point, right? You just wait until there's one that you do like, or you just continue playing the game. You don't have to quit the game over it. And as I said, if people are genuinely quitting the game, obviously I feel like most of it is just for theatrics and saying, like, trying to essentially threaten Colorful Stage into, I guess, like dropping the sponsor, because they're like, oh god, we're going to lose players, right? When they were never actually going to uninstall it, originally. But again, I do think it is one of those cases where, yeah, I don't know. It's weird, right? It's just so weird, and you were never going to play it. You're never going to be a big fan of it anyways if you can give up this game so easily, right? Just because I don't like something that happens with one game, for example, I'm so locked into like stuff like Overwatch. It's a terrible game, right? But I still play it because it's a game that I love. And it's the same thing that a lot of people, are doing with like Colorful Stage and stuff, right? Although, you might not like the collaborations, you might not like updates of the game or whatever, you're still going to stick with the game, right? You're still going to stick with it because it's a game that you enjoy. It's a game that you've always loved, and maybe you played for a little bit of a while now, and you're kind of locked into it. And a lot of the people saying they're going to uninstall are clearly not that locked in, because again, the average person that is locked into a game pretty hard is not going to just kind of quit at like one site of a collaboration that they dislike, right? And I think it is pretty crazy. And as I said, I think it is mostly just people feigning it and trying to essentially get them to drop the collaboration, which obviously ended up not working, and it ended up kind of backfiring, because again, I think that it was a very successful stream. If anything, it wasn't even like a kind of midstream where nobody downloaded the game. I feel like it was actually very, very successful in the sense that a lot of people were interested, and clearly it is working if they sponsored them like 3 times. I'm pretty sure I've seen 3 different streams minimum from CDawg doing it. I don't know about Ironmouse. I think Ironmouse has done it a couple times as well. But again, there's a reason why they are continuing to work with them, right? If they didn't get any downloads, if it didn't get any kind of attention or whatever, or didn't get what Colorful Stage wanted, they would just drop the sponsor, right? They would just say, okay, now we're not doing any more. That's it. Fine, whatever. Move on to someone that maybe might, work a little bit better. But clearly it's working if they're sponsoring them this many times, right? They're one of the most common sponsors that they get. Right, and I think it is crazy. The same with like many gacha games and stuff like that. Gacha games also heavily sponsor them as well. I saw Arknight's Enfield doing it with CDawg, and also stuff like Honkai Star Rail and everything like that. And those are repeat sponsors, so they work, right? And people, for some reason, obviously have this preconceived notion, I guess, idea about the duo of Ironmouse and CDawg, that they dislike it so much that they just hate on it because they dislike them. Not because they dislike what is going on with the game, not because they think it's a bad collaboration for the game or it won't work. It's due to the fact that they just don't like them, and that's about it, right? And I think it is pretty crazy that some people are still trying to push this kind of stuff to this day, and obviously Ironmouse, calling it out on stream there. So yeah, I do think it is a pretty interesting situation. Just kind of wanted to cover it. As I said, we will be going into more of the Spotify haters very, very soon, because I have some very interesting stuff that I want to kind of talk about. And yeah, I mean, that is essentially all I have for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. They've got a ton of really cool VTuber collabs as well, if you guys want to go check that out. And again, as I say, my code Kaza gets you money off that too, so you can get it a lot more cheaper. But yeah, that's about all I got, and I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.